This is Eric from Lubbock, Texas. What's up, Eric?
Yeah, morning, folks. I appreciate you for taking the call. Curtis, are you sure you're not in Del Boca Vista with the Seinfelds and others? And the Celtics have touched such a nerve with me. I'm actually calling from the hospital. I went in on Sunday after some type of reaction to the butt photo with Greg, but you can't keep a Celtic green teamer down. So here's the thing. Their defense is certainly atrocious. Last year they were winning games 104-92. They were taking the life out of teams in the third and the fourth quarter, and now they're giving it back to them against teams of lesser talent but with more heart. We let a guy named Emmanuel Quinterly, who the only reason he was in the game last night was because Brunson was injured, and he lit us up for 40. That's team defense. That's also a guy who's the defensive player of the year, not being able to shut a guy down, which you should be able to do. I'm more concerned, or not more concerned, but my worry is the path to the NBA Finals. I don't want to have to go through Philly and Milwaukee, or Milwaukee and then Philly, because those are going to be long, drawn-out physical series. I want the path of least resistance. But now we've let everybody know they can beat us if they just play hard, and we're going to have to go through a much more difficult road than if we had just parked ourselves at the number one seed. Not so much about the home court advantage, but just I don't want to have to go through these teams that are gonna show up and push you in a seventh game, and anything can happen in a seventh game.
Oh, and listen, Wiggy was right. I'm not putting it all on Tatum. I put it. You're putting it on Marcus Smart. I also put it on Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown. I don't know if Ime was there to tell Jaylen Brown that he needed to play defense, and Joe Mazzulla doesn't. I don't know what it is, but he's probably a worse offender than Jason Tatum is when it comes to that side of the basketball right now.
Tatum has certainly decided he's going to be a two-way player, and I applaud him for that. He's even, when he's had bad shooting games, he's figured out a way to get to the line or improve on his assists or a rebound. So I'm going to give him credit for that. But the team defense has just been really, really poor. And the Muscala experiment is atrocious. The guy can make a salad, but I'm not going to let the guys touch the ball. So, anyways, I've got a lot of concerns with a team that we really thought was going to be hungry. They don't play team defense like they should. They're keeping lesser teams in games in the third and the fourth quarter. And when you do that, you can't always be guaranteed that you're going to close it out. And it forces you to play 7-game series or double overtimes because we just don't want to commit to defense. Yeah. Emmanuel Quinterly, nobody even knows where he's from. But anyways, my heart rate monitor's starting to go. I saw visions of Greg again. So I'm going to let you all talk about me now, but I appreciate you for taking a call.
All right.
Well, see, that's the thing, and Chime sent me to this and then actually did some digging, but Brian Barrett brings up a good point. Since the All-Star break, their team defensive rating is 117.3. They're 21st in the NBA. And so when you...
What happened at the All-Star break, by the way?
What do you mean, what happened?
Joe Mazzulla? Did anything happen?
They took the interim off.
Yeah, they took the interim off.
Oh, they stopped playing defense after he became the official head coach.
All right. Well, I mean, if you want to make that comparison, I mean, that's a good...
It's just a fact of what happened.
Yeah, so and that's why I said when you look at defense is about, in my opinion, in basketball, it's about effort, right? It's about effort and guys wanting to play on both sides of the ball.
Yes.
And so why are they not getting the same effort on the defensive side this year than they got last year with Ime? So is that they're maybe just taking their foot off the off the gas a little bit on the defensive side because they may look at Mazzulla in a way that they look at Ime differently when it comes to defense? So that's where my concern is.
I don't think you can put it only on the injury with regard to Robert Williams because he was out for a considerable period of time last season as well, and the same thing didn't happen. That's what I'm saying to you is, if you look at the Celtics and you say, all right, they're struggling and you have a concern with 17 games left, unlike their head coach who has zero concern, then it's either can be explained away by injuries or it can be explained away by the fact that they think they're going to go into every single game, win every single game, and focus mostly on shooting threes in the offense and not playing defense. And that's alarming.
Yeah, and there's way too much talk about this, and Jones has been way ahead of the curve on a lot of these things, and listen today too. I know you will, even if you hate him, because he's good. But the Celtics have been far too concerned about things that are not related to a title. You know, this year, the optics of Tatum being the All-Star Game MVP if they don't get out of the East, how's that going to look? All the talk about MVP and, why don't I get the calls? It's like, who gives a damn about what calls you get and what you did at the All-Star Game? This is the Celtics, not the Knicks or anybody else. This is about championships. Paul Pierce would have been so roundly mocked if he talked about his place in the sport over and over again before he ever won anything. And I just think that Tatum is sorely mistaken if he thinks that while the coach could be the fall guy, that every year he doesn't win a title makes it more difficult for him to do so, and the pressure will simply continue to mount.
Yeah, but in the NBA, Curtis, there's always the option of you're just going to go elsewhere and you're going to demand a trade out of here and you're going to create your own super team somewhere else.
Well, that is why Celtics fans should better be praying and hoping that this team turns it around, because the last person who will have the accountability is the best player. So if you want him to be here, and I think Tatum wants to be here, and the Celtics have done everything right when it comes to their treatment of him, but this is not going to end well if this season doesn't turn around. And it's not just a couple games. You got the stat from the All-Star break. They're in the bottom third in the NBA defensively. And it's not just that, the overall stats. It's the actual blown leads and back-to-back losses at home in games that you absolutely should have won.
This is David from Florida. Hello, David.
Good morning.
What's up?
Curtis, you're finally making some sense out there. It's just painful. It's like getting a root canal watching them. I mean, they don't know how to play defense, and I mean they're primed for a first round upset. I mean, I just can't watch them. I can't watch them without throwing remote control at the DB.
Boy, I'll tell you, if they're one and done.
Oh,
I mean,
that'll be
after last year. If they're one and done this season, that's a disaster.
See, and then it goes back.
It's worse than a disaster,
right? And then to me,
it can't be anything worse than a disaster.
Yeah, this call
could be an epic disaster.
Well, then for me,
it's like a double disaster.
For me, it then goes.
It's a travesty.
A disaster sandwich.
Well, for me, it goes.
Oh, great! Now I have to have a disaster sandwich for lunch.
What? It goes back to trade deadline, and then it goes back to.
Oh, you always put it. So you're going to put it on Brad?
No.
Stevens?
But
it's never on the players. It's never on the players.
No. We last
Wiggy,
week, Curtis had us all rank our trust in organization from top to bottom, and all of us have the Celtics at the top.
Yep.
So if they are eliminated first round this season, that trust, they're down at the bottom.
Well, you say one and done. So if it goes one and done, then it goes back to me to trade deadline where I go, well, because I'm watching everybody else. I'm now watching Kevin Durant in Phoenix.
Oh, good.
And I'm going, well, look, guess what? That's what I'm doing. I'm
going. The same exact team with a couple additions was in the NBA Finals last year.
Yeah, but that was last year.
I know, but
Bill Belichick says it all the time. What have you done for me lately?
You should not have to improve at trade deadline time a team that was in the NBA Finals last year.
Well, but you have
and what has Bill Belichick done for me lately?
No, he hasn't done anything. That's why I said it's always about the moment and what you're doing. So you're saying if this team is one and done, then I'm going back to going, okay, what could they have done differently? What didn't they do? And I'm looking at the rest of the league and especially a guy like Durant.